Hello, my name is Eli Barr. This is my ETC 16 final presentation. My class demographics for this portion of the project was from Northwest High School in Germantown, Maryland. This is a sophomore AP government class, and the class is comprised of 26 students, 20 of which were a part of my control. The other 6 students took the original test at a different time. And for many of these students, this is their first AP class. So a data action model is a way for teachers to analyze data in small groups in order to help close learning gaps in the classroom. It's designed to be both teacher-friendly and to not criticize teaching practices, but to teach or show teachers how to improve their practices. So my original data came from a reading quiz via Socrative, which is an online quiz website. Students were tested upon content that came directly from their textbook. This information may or may not have been covered in class, meaning this was a reading quiz. We didn't really talk about a lot of stuff. That's kind of how an AP class works, is that we don't go over certain aspects of the class, and students are responsible for understand the material on their own. With this quiz, the class average was around a 60%. So my group, my group did the Notice Wonder protocol to look at my data. I've highlighted and read the statements that I picked out to be the most influential for my own practice. So I noticed that students struggled with the questions regarding an accurate statement about political parties in the U.S. I noticed many students struggled with the accept question. I noticed overall test scores are low and average around 60%. Again, with the Wonder protocol, did the same thing. What preparations did students have prior to participating in the formative assessment? What activities helped the students to all recall the first division in the United States? And that second question was a question that the students got correct on the quiz. That the majority of students got correct. Our speculation. So I wonder which questions directly related to in-class activities or out-of-class activities. And I wonder what students understood each question was asking. So were the directions clear with this question or with these questions? The exploratory questions. Do students require a review of material they learned from independent work or the reading parts of the class? Do students need more direct instruction or explanation of question types? With these exploratory questions, it's hard for me to really dive into at least the second one because, as I stated earlier, in an AP class, we don't have the time to do more direct instruction for certain aspects. So this, my SMART goal was by the end of Unit 5, 80% of students will score at least 70% on the end of unit assessment. 75% of students score 3 or above on the AP test. My evaluation metrics were the Unit 5 exam and the AP test. So my original data action plan, I used warm-ups, jigsaw activities, exit tickets on cell phones, and YouTube crash course videos. Warm-ups and activators, cell phones or Chromebooks. I'm trying to use more technology in the classroom. Jigsaws are always good. Exit tickets on cell phones, again, try to implement technology. And YouTube crash course videos are a great way of review. Excuse me. So by the end, my updated data action plan, I actually moved my exit tickets to Google Classroom. The idea behind the exit tickets was to see what students understood in class. By having them type it out rather than texting it makes it a lot easier for me to read and for them to kind of give more detail. I also added differentiation via Rewordify, which is a website that basically lets you put in a text and it will differentiate the text for you, or it'll give you definitions for some of the words. And I did that with Nixon in the War Powers Resolution. I implemented Think, Pair, Shares, specifically with judicial responsibility, and implemented peer and teacher reviews, and we did that for a writing assignment, which went a little bit with my data. So the first artifact that I brought up with my group was Jigsaw. The Jigsaw was to help students with their reading comprehension. Basically what I did was I broke up a difficult reading into small parts. Students would read would be broken up into groups, read their small part with a separate group. They would become experts with that small part. Then they'd come back and teach their original group about their specific section. And this would both build confidence and allow students to interact. So my class average of this was an 8 out of 10. But it's important to note here that the students who lost points was not because their information was bad, it was because they didn't either turn in on time or they turned in incomplete work. So here are a few examples. As you can see on the left, there is a lot less information as a part of it. the student didn't get as much detail, but they still got the main ideas of each of the documents. On the right, we see they did a little bit better job and were able to get better details. Again, this is more of what I grade them on, was this aspect of the assignment. Even though they have different answers, both answers are, in my mind, correct. I gave them both 100% for this. The reason I did that was not because they got the Reaganomics part right, more that they were able to back up whatever their opinion was. I'm not looking for right or wrong answers here. I'm just looking for opinions. With the AP test, they never look for your opinion. They're looking for, are you able to back up what you say? And the students here did a good job with that. So the second artifact that my group looked at for mine was exit tickets. I use the exit tickets just about every single day. So for this, I pulled out one of the exit tickets that I found would be the most influential, that students pretty much did a very, very good job on. The reason I chose to do exit tickets are, one, because it lets me as a teacher see what students learned during that class period. And if students didn't learn something, I need to make sure I go back and recover it. Kind of goes back with those original questions I had of what students are understanding. And the exit tickets are a good way for me to see what they actually understand. So our prompt was, out of all programs, which programs do you feel need to stay fully funded, and which ones you feel should be cut? They need to back their opinion with evidence, and the next part was more of just a way to get them to think about it a little bit more. So I gave a 5, a 4, and a 3. The student who received a 5 did a perfect job. Again, I wasn't looking for any political aspect of this. They just need to pick any program they want. So even if you pick something I don't agree with, that's fine, as long as you back it up with evidence. And student who scored a 5 did that exactly right. Student who did a 4 didn't go all the way with the evidence. They got very close, but they need just a little bit more. And the student who got a 3 really didn't use any evidence. Because MCPS has a 50% rule, students can't score below 50% on any assignment. A 3 out of 5 is basically as low as I was going to go. So the results, on the Unit 5 exam, my class average was an 88.9. And students take the AP test May 10th, so I won't be able to check that part of my plan until the summer. So my areas of strength with this assignment, or even with this entire unit, or this entire class, was I stuck with the program. For me, it was kind of difficult to stay with the program, not because I didn't want to, but because there are 7 other people who teach AP Government, and the way our classes are designed is that we really have to teach the exact same things every single day. We don't really have very much choice in the matter. So I was able to implement a few of the programs. I was able to bring some of the tactics to my team, and they use them as well. And that kind of goes with the implementation and modification of the methods. I didn't use any of the methods directly as the videos or the readings on DGO really said to, but I modified them to work in my class. And I think that's something that all teachers need to be able to do. You need to be able to modify whatever you need to work in your class. And I did that a lot with it inside this unit. My areas of further growth, I want to try different methods that are outside my comfort zone. I'm sure it's going to be the same with a lot of other teachers, is that they want to go a different way of thinking about how to improve their classes. And for me, it's stepping out of my comfort zone. Again, I'm a teacher, or I'm a creature of habit, so it's a little bit difficult for me to do that. So my overall thoughts, I think that every teacher should try something like to this. I think it would be better if the groups were homogenous. It was a little bit difficult for me as a AP social studies teacher to relate to a elementary school math teacher. But if we were teaching the same thing, or even teaching the same grade level, I think that would have helped. And this was a small sample time. I'm unsure if there was any long-term success. With the AP class, their test scores kind of fluctuate dramatically between high and low. So I'm not really sure if what I did impacted as much as this was the Unit 5 an easier test. So again, I would have to keep this going for me to really understand. And thanks for watching.